Welcome to our annual PILF auction. It's so nice to see everyone here tonight. The PILF grant is an amazing way to financially support students who are committing their summers to helping public interest law organizations.
Every dollar that is raised in the PILF auction goes directly to our summer grant program. Not only do we fund the summer grant program at USC Law, but we also create an environment in which we encourage every student, no matter what they want to do when they graduate, to do some kind of pro bono work. I think PILF is one of the most important student organizations.
I think the PILF grants are a really great program for USC students to take advantage of being able to spend the summer at a place like Public Council and be able to have your summer funded. And I would encourage everyone to try and do one summer with a public interest organization. We have so many groups in Los Angeles that are all doing great work.
Last summer, I used my PILF grant to work at the city attorney in their housing division. Landlords would often sue the city because they felt the city's code requirements for their buildings, namely that they be up to certain habitable standards, were too burdensome for them. There's so many properties that are even unsafe that people have to deal with, and they have trouble enforcing their rights against their landlords. So having the city attorney there to enforce these codes is essential. It's really opened my eyes to a lot of new areas of law, which I find the people that are practicing in those areas are so passionate about them. So it really did just push me in a direction that I'm so glad I've now gone.
Last summer I worked in South Africa at Durban's Legal Resources Center. The case that I worked on was basically a class action human rights suit. And in the center of Durban, which is on the eastern coast of South Africa, in the center of the city is just a giant informal street market with traders who've been there for generations. It's their whole livelihood, it's everything that they know, and they trade everything from vegetables and fruits to medicine and herbs. And the city wanted to evict them to make way for a giant shopping mall because they thought that's what tourists would prefer when tourists come to South Africa for the World Cup. And the Legal Resources Center took on their case, and because of their representation, the city officials have backed off, and about 5,000 of Durban's poorest inhabitants are still able to trade in the center of the city. I think my favorite moment of the summer and the suit that I worked on was after we won an emergency restraining order for the people, for the street traders. We basically won it in Durban's High Court, and all the traders ran out of the courtroom, and they shook my hand and the attorney's hand, and then they asked if we wanted our choice of a chicken or a goat. And it was really funny at the time, but in retrospect it was just really touching because I think these are people that have nothing to offer, they have no money for lawyers, and it really shows that, you know, we're providing them something that otherwise they really couldn't have afforded, and they really would not have had representation if it weren't for the LRC. So.
Last summer I worked at the LA City Attorney's office, and I was stationed in downtown LA, and I got to work around the Skid Row area. We helped homeless individuals clear their minor citations that they usually get around like the Skid Row area for drinking in public, jaywalking. I grew up in the area, so I always walked around and rode my bike, but I never saw them, it's gonna sound bad, but I never really saw them as human beings. It was more like, oh, there's the homeless people, you know? But then interacting with them, like every time I talked to one of them at these citations, they told me like great stories, like, oh, you know, I fought in Vietnam, or, you know, I used to have a small business and then went bankrupt. And a lot of these people went there for citations, and all they really wanted to do was talk. And that ended up being like the best way to reach them, because we had a lot of success stories in which they went into our citation clinic to clear up a citation. They came out of there clean. They went in there to clear up citation. They did some community service, and they ended up staying there and getting help for their drinking problems or drug problems. PILF changes your perspective about life in general. Like I remember thinking, like as a winnow, like I am in hell. This is the worst thing to ever happen to me. And then you go out. I did a lot of PILF clinics. It helped me keep me sane. It helped me realize that there was a bigger world out there that needed my help.
After Katrina, the city of New Orleans was devastated, and there were thousands of people left without houses. And 5 years later, there's still whole entire neighborhoods who aren't being serviced with hospitals or public schools. And there's a great need for these people to get back to where they were before their whole lives were taken away. and the legal system is a great mechanism for doing that. We've worked with the Public Defender's Office, the City Attorney, the Louisiana Justice Institute, the New Orleans Recovery Authority. Personally, I worked with the Sierra Club and went into some of the hardest hit neighborhoods and just used manual labor to rebuild some of the homes there.
Yeah, I think we were able to make a difference in helping New Orleans in our own little way. I think the interesting thing about the work for me is that the precipitating event for each one of my cases was Hurricane Katrina, because I was handling the abandonment cases of police officers in Hurricane Katrina. I think every time I've had an opportunity to do any type of public interest work, it's been valuable for me because it's really brought me back to more of the reasons I came into law school.
If I didn't have the PILF grant, I wouldn't have been able to go. I thought that it would be years before I could go back to South Africa and work on these issues that I had really worked on and gotten deeply involved with before law school. But I thought once law school starts, I'm going to be all on loans and not able to afford going back. And it was really because of the PILF grant that enabled me to return down there and to work on the things that I went to law school for in the first place.
The PILF donors are definitely what makes the whole program possible, and I think it's really important for firms and for the organizations to fund students to do this type of work. It's a great way to expose students to some real hands-on legal work, working with clients straight out of your first year of law school, and I really appreciate the opportunity that I was given.
When you're dealing with real people and real cases, it's meaningful. And from an educational point of view, that's the stuff that I remember when I think about what I've learned in my law school that sticks with me and probably will stick with me in my professional life.
It makes you excited to get out there in the working world and be able to contribute some of the skills that you're honing here and have the privilege to gain as a student at USC, but then you can take those and actually make a difference in places where it matters.
So I really got to thank PILF for helping me get out there and enabling me to have that opportunity last summer. Very invaluable. I'll never forget it. And yeah, I hope this program's around for a long time.